Let's continue with that story. Of course, eNCA senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is watching developments and he joins us now. Aviwe, who exactly have you been able to speak to in terms of reaction to this particular story, and what have they told you?
Hello, Maseko. I actually, in the morning at around 7 o'clock, I was speaking to the SAFTU General Secretary, Zwelinzima Vavi, who suggested that Andre de Ruyter needs to be taken to court. That is, of course, to let him tell the truth on which minister actually said that these criminals that are allegedly aligned with the African National Congress need to be let to do, the bit of corruption that they've been doing, allegedly at ESCOM. And, of course, Vavi coming out strongly saying that it's either two things have happened. It's either Andre de Ruyter is lying, which then the board would actually put him, send him home packing immediately, or the board is ashamed of what has been happening, hence they then did that stance. In fact, now to get more reaction on this and on the budget, I am joined by the president of the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Thank you for joining us at eNCA, but let me touch on ESCOM first and the news that we're seeing, of course, happening. The CEO let go immediately without finishing the rest of his time, as it was supposed to end in March. What do you make of this?
I think from a business perspective, especially from a chamber perspective, we don't view this in a positive light. I think we're already sitting in a crisis. We anticipated that a lot of the budget speech yesterday was going to focus on the ESCOM crisis and how we're going to path the way forward. But the Ruyter's announcement of his immediate his immediate leaving of ESCOM and the board's decision around that does not bode well for the confidence going forward. I think that the statements that he has made are very telling. It can either be a case of sour grapes or a case of it is what is the case and what's happening. But I think, once again, from a chamber perspective, we need to put the business forward. And we need to be able to say, ESCOM, we need to get your house in order. And we need to focus on how do we provide energy for South Africa and get that on the foot.
Allegedly, R1 billion gets stolen from ESCOM every month, according to de Ruyter, and a lot of it is at the hands of the ANC. Are we any closer then to resolving the load shedding crisis, you think?
Definitely not. I think there is no place for corruption in business. There's no place for corruption in trying to fix this energy crisis. And if that is the case, I think I want to plead with de Ruyter to say that he needs to come forward. He needs to be able to put formalized evidence forward in order for these issues of corruption to be dealt with. I think there is absolutely no space for corruption in South Africa when we are dealing with crises.
And they are quite serious, involving senior government minister Andre de Ruyter claims.
Definitely, and I think that we would want to make sure that we also hear from the president himself, President Ramaphosa, around claims that people, ministers in his cabinet, are implicated. I think that it's irresponsible to make claims without substance. And hence the fact that I think evidence is important for de Ruyter to put it at the forefront. But I think let's not get distracted by these claims. We still have an issue of the energy crisis and how we're going to fix this. I think if I reflect quickly around the budget speech, there was not enough done to be able to give the input that is needed for us to solve the crisis. Yes, ESCOM will be relieved by the debt that the Treasury is taking on, but what next? And that what next never came out of the minister's mouth yesterday.
That was what I was about to ask. If you're satisfied with what you heard around ESCOM, half of the debt will be taken on by government, which is, of course, the taxes that come from you and I. And maybe the interventions even mentioned at the SONA. Are you happy as business, for example, the setting up of the Ministry of Electricity in the presidency?
I think for me, when I was listening to the finance minister yesterday, there was definitely no alignment to the SONA address. There was a lot of issues that the president touched on, for instance, like the Minister of Electricity, that was never touched on in the budget. There was no allocation for indication to say that who the minister is. Everyone is still quite tight-lipped around it. I think that what we want to see is more tangible action plans. What is the support that's going to be going in to support ESCOM? will Eskom go out and do an additional capital raise in order to ensure that that we're able to solve some of the technical challenges and financial challenges at Eskom? How do we support business in society, small businesses specifically? I think that the measures that's been put in place in terms of the bounce back scheme is not good enough. For businesses. It is definitely not going to allow every business out there to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. And businesses still need to fork out of their pockets if they want to ensure that they keep the lights on. At this point in time, we have more days of no electricity than what we've ever had in the past, and then that does not bode well for business.
A quick one on the budget. Are you happy that it's going to grow the economy? Very quickly.
I don't think it's a budget that's going to grow the economy. It's a budget that's trying to stabilize where we're at in an economic crisis, in an energy crisis. I think that we are definitely geared up more from a debt perspective. So as a country, we are heavily indebted, and we do not have a plan in place to ensure that we are effectively growing the South African economy.
All right, thank you very much there. The president of the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry, of course, sharing his view, saying that maybe the outgoing, or well, now gone, CEO of Eskom, Andre de Ruyter, needs to come out and say who exactly said what around the allegations of corruption that involves the African National Congress and Eskom.
All right, senior reporter Aviwe Mtila live for us in Johannesburg. Thank you. Let's leave it there for now.